Hello, everyone. I'm Avery. Today, I'm going to tell you a way to find out if your crush has a significant other that really works. My boyfriend and I have been dating for over 3 years. His name is Jim. The asshole knew a lot about romance. On our first anniversary, he threw a romantic dinner on the riverbank and vowed that he would always love me. We even cried with happiness like idiots. On our second anniversary, I secretly snuck out through the window and went with him on a date. We walked until early morning. Then we experienced our first time. But then we went to college in another city. Jim persuaded me to go with him. I didn't go to the same university that he did, but I got a place in the same city. That meant we still wouldn't see each other that often. But Jim gave me a ring at prom, celebrating the 3rd anniversary of our relationship. He told me that everything would be fine. I thought we were the perfect couple. At first, we were always together. I often slept in his dorm room, and I even had my own set of keys. And then, Jim started spending more time with his new friends. He didn't always answer my calls and stopped giving me gifts as often, even though he used to shower me with flowers. I hadn't made friends with anyone, and I really needed his support. I decided to talk with him openly. If he didn't love me anymore, I wanted to know. I wouldn't freak out. But he said, "What are you talking about, sweetheart? I still love you. It's just that my classes have been tough, blah, blah, blah." And I believed him. One day, I decided to set up a surprise for him. I messaged his neighbor and told him not to interrupt us until 2200. He's a smart guy. But Jim didn't appreciate the surprise. He even seemed to be angry. I wasn't expecting that kind of a reaction. I burst into tears, and he consoled me. He apologized and said that he still loved me, as always. We fell asleep cuddling, and I finally calmed down. That night, someone knocked on the door. It was interesting to find out who would come visit him at that hour. It was his new friends, but he kicked them out because he was with me. Everything was getting better, but about a week later, Jim disappeared for a whole day and wouldn't answer his phone. Late that night, he sent a message. I'd had enough. I had to know what was really going on with him and decided to install a camera in his room. But I'm not very tech savvy, so I had to bail on that idea. So I bought a tiny microphone. I made my way into his room when no one was there and left it on the shelf behind some books. I picked it back up the next day, on a Saturday. I told him that I needed to get something I had left in his room, and then at midnight, I listened to it. Music was playing, so I couldn't understand everything that was being said. But suddenly, Jim started talking about some chick named Macy, and that she didn't do something as well as last time. I dialed his number with trembling fingers when I realized that they were talking about soccer. The next week, we only met up one time. He was always kind on the phone, but I felt like he had started to treat me differently. They had a big dorm room party over the weekend, which I was not invited to, but I decided to show up anyway. I put on something cute, did my makeup, and while there was no one in his room, I went into the closet. It was about 8 p.m. I decided to wait for Jim to come back, and if necessary, give him a farewell surprise. Hiding in the closet is fun when you're 5 and playing hide and seek. Sitting there for a few hours when you're 18 is incredibly boring. I started watching Netflix, TikTok videos, anything to kill some time. My body was numb, my hair was messed up, my makeup was smeared, and I was incredibly thirsty. I didn't take water with me on purpose. I didn't know how long I would have to be in there, and running to the bathroom was not part of the plan. I was about to fall asleep when at 2 a.m. I heard movement at the door. Jim was not alone. There was a girl with him, and she was acting very loud. I wanted to burst out of the closet immediately and let them have it. but I decided to watch it play out to the end. I didn't believe that he would do it with her. The girl was all over him. She asked him to dance. She was making dumb jokes, whinnying like a horse. And then they started kissing. I was numb. I couldn't bring myself to leave the closet. Just a couple more minutes, and it was all going to happen. I came out at the very moment when there was no longer any doubt about his betrayal. It was so disgusting that I didn't even say anything to him and ran away. And on the stairs, I fell and really hurt my arm. It turned out that I had broken it. The next morning, Jim came over and begged me to forgive him. He told me that he had had too much to drink and didn't know what he was doing. I told him no, but he still messages me every day, likes my photos, sends flowers. If I was sure that that time was the only one, I would probably give us another chance. But what if he cheated on me other days when I wasn't hiding in that closet? What do you think I should do? Forgive him or send him on his way? I still love him, and it hurts. Hi, my name is Claire, and I dated my professor. It sounds like I'm in a Professor Lovers Anonymous group, but I really do need help. Have you ever heard of a story like this ending well? Listen to mine and don't judge me. Almost every girl at the university had a crush on him. It was the second class, and we were waiting for our new philosophy professor. My first thought was that he should be in movies. After all, you can only get a body like that at the gym, not by sitting in the library. His face and that masculine gaze, God, he looked unbelievably amazing. Not surprisingly, there were always tons of girls at his lectures. I knew it was stupid to fantasize about my hot professor, until suddenly he smiled at me during a lecture. This started to happen every class. I came to lecture and would wait for Mr. Hendricks to look at me. I would worry and get nervous if I couldn't catch his eye for a while. But when he finally looked at me, everything inside me froze. It was totally harmless, until he asked me out on a date. One day, after a lecture, he called me over and asked if I would like to get coffee with him. Wow, the hottest teacher on campus was coming on to me. That meant I didn't have to worry about my philosophy grade. Plus, I'm an adult. What's wrong with just having coffee with the professor after class? I thought. When David and I met up, he told me to call him by his first name. He completely took over my thoughts. He was 32 at the time, 12 years older than me. At the end of the date, I was just floating with happiness. We moved towards each other slowly. He spoke more and more quietly. I was expecting him to kiss me. But no! I was so embarrassed. It only got better from there. David texted me and invited me over to his place. I agreed. It was very exciting to go to his house, but I wondered how far he was willing to go. I stood in front of his house and wondered what might happen next. The feeling overtook me. The girls get what I mean. When David opened the door, the way he looked at me gave me goosebumps. Even then, I knew that I would do anything he asked me to. After dinner, we went into the living room, and David put an old record on. I really hoped he wouldn't ask me to dance, but instead, he kissed me. It should be illegal for a philosophy professor to be this amazing. It was the best kiss I've ever had. We didn't just kiss, and although it wasn't my first time, with him, it was completely new, unforgettable. But this is not a story about how I was used. No, the drama happened later. We started dating secretly. I would come over to his house, or we would get a hotel room. We even went on vacation several times together. It went on for 3 years. Hiding our relationship from everyone all the time wasn't easy. Going to all your friends' parties without a boyfriend, listening to sympathetic speeches about getting lucky and meeting someone soon, not to mention all the girls that would look at David not knowing he was mine. I did introduce my new boyfriend to my mother on our 3rd anniversary, and she really liked him. As I thought about the last 3 years, I imagined what dress I would wear on our wedding day. After all, once I graduated from college, we could get married and stop hiding. But then I discovered what a scumbag David is. I wasn't the only one planning my wedding with him. One day, I dropped by David's office after class and saw him talking sweetly with one of my classmates. She was obviously flirting with him, and I knew that girl was a f***. She has a new boyfriend every month. That evening, I talked to David about it, and he told me that I was imagining things and there was nothing going on between them. But later, I found out that this girl was bragging to everyone about her relationship with the philosophy professor. I was fuming. What right did she have to claim my boyfriend as her own? I decided to put the bitch in her place and told her that I had been dating him for 3 years and she had better stay away. Do you know what she told me? She told me to chill because he is her boyfriend and they have been together for several months. And that just yesterday, he was shouting her name and God's after what she did for him in his car. I had never felt so humiliated. I was crushed. I needed to hear the truth from David. After I told him everything, he confessed that they did have several dates over the last few months, but he had never given her a reason to consider them a couple. He confessed to hooking up with other girls from the university and how tormented he had been for deceiving me. He told me it meant nothing, that they were just one-night stands and what we had was serious. Did he really think that explanation would pacify me? I yelled at him and hit him. When I calmed down, he explained that he couldn't help himself. Many girls wanted him and flirted with him every day, and sometimes it was hard for him to turn them down. It was all just physical, but his feelings for me were real. He begged me to forgive him and promised that it would never happen again. I am still working through our breakup, but I keep in touch with him. I graduated and moved to another city, and David still teaches at the university. He often texts me, begging for another chance, but I'm afraid to trust him again. Do you think a person can really change? Well, that was my story. If you have had a similar experience, write it in the comments. My advice to you is, don't date your professors. It will end badly.